you know, I didn't realize there weren't a lot of people who went to school, and grammar school, all the way up to San Juan High School. And well, by the time, what I first remember is walking in Danville by the grammar school with a sign in front of the lumber yard saying "Closed for the duration." And this was a relatively small town. I think the high school graduating class in '52 was 72 people, 72 kids. That's quite small. So everything just grew after that. So I've seen the growth of this town. I remember this valley out here between Danville, or between Walnut Creek and Dublin. Mostly what I could see is
my family moved into the Gildering house in 1950. The old house is down below. My dad and the foreman of the Bishop Ranch bought 120 acres. Right next to us, right here. The house that he built in about 1952 was on Devon, it's still there. I went to San Ramon Grammar School, graduated in 1953. I went to San Ramon High School in 57. Harry Ashworth next door lived just down the road here. We went to service together. And I also now, I married Margie Thomas, which was the oldest Thomas daughter at that time. She passed away 5 years ago. I own the remaining 360 acres. My grandchildren, my granddaughter is right there, Rebecca. My grandson is right there. And they live in the old Thomas house, Victorian houses up North Canyon. We moved up Bollinger Canyon to get away from everything. And that's where my family ended up. And the last to Harris, of course I have nieces, stuff that are still alive.
You did move to Bollinger to get out, away from everything. It's about coming out to you, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
It's growing.
He kept telling me to sell the cow and move to town. And I told him I don't need to do that. The town's coming to me.
Norm, can you talk about your experience living in the valley and your name, your full name? Got it?
Well, my full name is Norman Peixoto, and I didn't live in San Ramon too long. My father rented the Muller Ranch at the end of Bollinger Canyon, about 1943 or 42. And Bollinger Canyon was gravel. We didn't have electric. I started school with Perry Ashworth in 1945 in the old school in San Ramon behind the general store, and we used to have our graduations and our Christmas plays in the old hall facing Crow Canyon, and the 2-lane highway from Dublin through San Ramon to Danville, and Bill Ferreira's general store with our telephone, the telephone booth for everybody.
See his friends. Now, Jen Gerhardt, you have a connection here in the valley, don't you?
I was old as Donwood, but I'm 84, and my family came here in 1940, and I went to school here in the old, what I call the old school. It was a 2-room school that Norman talked about right behind the store. In my class, there were 3 of us girls that graduated from the 8th grade. In the previous year, there was only 1 person that graduated.
And it took them 13 years that they all immigrated into this valley. I didn't know all of that. And had ranches and did well. And my grandparents had, the general store. My dad had the garage, which morphed into a fire department. And he was the only chief in California that was also the landlord in the fire department. And they had yellow trucks. So as a kid, I just had this wonderful, rich experience. I lived in San Ramon, I lived in Danville, because my mother was from Chicago, and San Ramon was just too rural for her. She said, all they talk about is the weather. So we were in Danville, and I love Danville. But my dad and his family were all in San Ramon. So my favorite thing to do was to get in the truck with Dad and to come up to San Ramon and either work in the store or he'd take me on his rounds through the back roads, all over San Ramon, just open space. He knew the combinations of locks or had the hidden key. And I remember saying to him one time, "Are we gonna get shot?" No, they all know my truck. So anyway, it was wonderful, and yes, like all of us, I've seen the change, and some of it breaks my heart, I must tell you. But I still feel the energy. I still, when I go down around, especially coming here, because this is live history. It's not just a picture. So I'm so excited about what we've done in the future. And as we go forward, I'm excited about all of you who are keeping the history alive. We need to do that because it's going to temper progress. You know, we need to have a sense of our history as we go forward because it's so rich and it's so beautiful and it's what makes the place special.
Harry Ashford. He's got a story. Now that's what I want to hear. Can you stand up for us, Harry?
I want to say something that Don Wood said. When he looked over the ridge and looked out in the valley, he saw a few lights. We lived at the county line, and the light that I remember, I'm sure you do too, is the one on top of Mount Diablo.
Yeah.
The beacon.
Speak up.
But so much has changed out there. I can remember when the Boone Ranch was an operating ranch. My folks had a dairy just down the road. And Larry Harris moved out here. He was a city kid.
Not for long.
Now we integrated and he became a country kid. He's still here. And I enjoy this coming here, seeing new friends, meeting new friends, and seeing old friends. This is a good thing to keep going. So anything we can do to help, we need to do it. Thank you.
My name at the time we moved here is Jane Frazier. We bought the house that the Elworthys had. And then I tell people about milking time. I need you to hold this for a second. 1, 2, 3, squirt. Squirt was for the barn cats and the kids who collected the eggs in the barn. So on squirt, you'd open your mouth and you'd get hot milk. So good old days in San Ramon.
Jean, thank you.
Does all of you, I get all emotional hearing about all these families and stories. My family's the kind that sits around the fireplace or sits around the patio and just talks about the good old days. So I know a lot about these historic families. And to see them, their descendants, grandchildren, great-grandchildren still around is amazing. So while I may not know all of you personally, and you might not know me, it's part of my childhood. I grew up here and went to Monte Vista, and our family's been here almost 100 years. And there is nothing more important to me than the history and the foundation that you all have built for us. And so we're going to do in my family everything we can to help preserve that and our children and descendants too. So thank you to all of you.
I just want to thank everybody for continuing with this farm. It's been a long time. When I first came back, I left the state and came back, and myself, Pat Boone, and Abram were on the original task force to get this park going, and they have worked really hard, and I'm so happy to see everybody continuing. The farm looks really great. I'm very happy.